Bite detection is one of the most elusive skills of all because so many bites, even from big fish, don't feel like much. Getting good at detecting light bites is a really big deal. Let's start way back at the beginning of bite detection. How you hold the rod. It's mostly a matter of personal preference, but there are modern variations of the classic hold that give you advantages in bite detection and for setting the hook.
You know, each person is going to have to experiment and find the grip that's most comfortable for you. You know, it depends upon the weight of your reel, the size of the handle on your rod. So you have to do some experimenting and you'll find a grip that's very comfortable for you. My friends and I over the years have developed several different ways of holding your ice rod. You know, if you're fishing for bigger fish with a rattling flyer spoon or bigger frosty jig and you're ripping the jig, snapping it like this, you got to have a good firm grasp on it because that fish could come in and just smack it at that time and pull the rod out of your hand. But if you're fishing for bluegills and they're a relatively light bite, a small lure, then you just grab it with your fingertips and just hold it real lightly. And you can feel that lure, you know, bouncing down there then when you got this real, just light hold. Hold it softly. You know, that gets tiring after a while. You know, another method when there's nothing around on my Vexilar and I'm just fishing, I'll take my hand like this and I'll put it right on here like this and turn it to its side. That's a nice comfortable way to hold the rod. Another thing that gives you is this really quick hook set when you hold it like this. When you feel the bite, because I'm feeling that lure bounce right now, and when I don't feel it bite, all I have to do is snap my wrist to get the hook set. I'm not moving my whole shoulder or my whole arm. That's been the most recent, I can almost call that a breakthrough in holding a rod and snapping that hook set. It's really quick, and your rod's not up over your head. When I snap it like that, the reel is right here for me to grab onto. You know, then a lot of times I'll switch to holding it like this after I get the fish on. But while I'm fishing, I do spend a lot of time holding it like this.
So, what does it feel like when you have a bite? If you're expecting to feel a jolting strike, you might be waiting a long time. More often than not, Gens tunes in to the weight of the jig, no matter how light, as he executes the pounding presentation. The jig bounces at the bottom of every movement, creating a feeling you come to know. When the bounce goes away, Gens calls it the absence of the weight of the jig. That's your signal that a fish has sucked it in. In most cases, you have part of 1 second to set the hook before the fish spits it back out.
And every time that lure drops, you can see the line right here gets a little bow in it. Every time it straightens out, I feel that lure bounce on my fingers up here. And if a fish comes up and grabs onto this, I know right away because I don't feel it bounce anymore. I mean, as soon as I touch that, I know.
Now that we've said that fast reaction time is important, here's the flip side. When winter fish are tentative, that is, they half-heartedly suck your bait part way in, they might not have the hook in their mouth. If you set the hook immediately on those bites, you lose. When this is happening, the best strategy is to drop the rod tip on the initial bite, giving the fish a chance to take it all the way in. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes you're dealing with tiny fish that are extremely difficult to hook. But dropping the rod, giving the fish slack line, can save the day.
Well, I had the fish down there, you know, I seen him on the Vexilar that he was right on it, and I felt this little tick. And so instead of setting the hook on that little tick, I dropped the rod tip, meaning I lowered it. And when I lowered it, the line went slack. You know, so if it would have been no fish there, the jig would have took the kinks out of the line. Line went slack, so I knew it was in the fish's mouth, and I set the hook. Here he comes. Here he comes. Come on. Eat it, buddy, eat it. Oh, that was a good fish. And I tickled him that time. I don't think he's gonna come back. I should have waited another second before I set the hook, but I didn't. Oh, maybe not. He's coming back. Or another one. Here, he bit it. There, I got him. I felt he took that second bite. Once they do that, you could just about bet you're gonna get him. There we go. Another dandy bluegill. Look at that, right here in the middle of the day. Do you believe it?
Maybe we don't have to say this, but sometimes Gens gets pigeonholed as a pan fisherman only. The truth is, every aspect of equipment selection, jigging methods, and bite detection pertain, no matter what species you're after.
I have a relatively light lure, light action rod, thin diameter line. But this pertains to matter what I'm fishing. If I'm fishing for walleye, I have a little larger lure on. Now I can use a little stiffer rod and a little heavier line. Just remember, you have to get the balance between the rod, the line, and the lure. No matter what size they are, you must get that balance to fish it properly.